With that, I'd like to introduce Michael Anderson, Managing Director, Firefinch.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the introduction. It is, of course, a long time since I stood at podiums and spoke as a managing director, nearly 10 years, in fact, and that intervening period was with Taurus. Quite a few people have asked me, well, why the change and what brought that on? And I genuinely wasn't looking for an opportunity. I was quite happy in the Taurus space, and we were doing some pretty interesting things, particularly in West Africa. We'd helped fund Teranga and West African and the Toro project, and then its ultimate sale to Resolute. And it was with that hat on, if you like, that I first came across Firefinch late last year when the Morila acquisition took place. And I certainly did capture my attention, but I was initially looking at it with my Taurus hat on. And when I took a call quite out of the blue asking me would I be interested in taking on the role, I was reasonably hesitant to begin with, given I wasn't looking. But it didn't take me long to speak with the chairman, Alistair Cowden, who I've known for 15 years, back to those Exco days when we were peers and contemporaries up in the northwest Queensland area, to work out just what a fantastic position Firefinch had got itself into and what a brilliant opportunity not only Morila was, but with the growing and improving sentiment in lithium, how well positioned our Goulamina project was. And taking on this role back in April, we're 5 months into my tenure, and I genuinely do believe that the title here, which I borrow from Dom's article in the recent paid out edition, Firefinch absolutely is poised to take flight. So this is a little bit of an interesting take. There is a bit of zoology about Firefinch as much as geology. Firefinch is the national bird of Mali. And back in the day when Randgold and Anglo-American first built Morila, it was such a successful start, it produced over 1 million ounces in one of its first couple of years. It earned the nickname Morila the Gorilla. We have taken that a step further recently with the intended spin-out of our lithium company, which we're now going to name Leo Lithium, Leo the lion, and Africa has, of course, a great tradition of these fantastic animals, and the connection is not lost on us. So Leo will I guess, come to market. So we're going too far there. Can we go back one? Yeah, I think at a perfect time in the lithium space. When you say why lithium, well, quite a few people were asking that 12 to 15 months ago when things weren't just so positive. But right now, I think everybody can see just what an incredible wave of sentiment the lithium space is on, and we have enjoyed that through the attention that was brought into the process that we ran to attract a partner run by Macquarie just a few months ago. So I don't think too many people need to be convinced of the lithium industry's metrics around supply and demand. There is a whole wave of projects ready to come to the market at the right time. And that does include Goulamina. So Mali Lithium, as the company was then called late last year, put the feasibility study together for Goulamina, demonstrating its tier 1 characteristics, grades of over 1.45 Li2O, very clean 6% lithium oxide spodumene concentrate, and very low in impurities. Importantly, that project is development ready. It is just a few hundred kilometers to the southwest of Morila in the south of Mali, well served by road infrastructure, which is the way things move around in Mali. The Mali environment does provide for a low-cost operating base, as I say, that quality product. But we have that existing operational base up the road at Morila, and we're going to build off that with our social license. 12 months ago, this company didn't have the cards to bring to the table that we now do with the Mali government. Morila was on its way to closure. We have revived that, and we're going to replicate the job creation, the local procurement, the payment of taxes and royalties down the road at Goulamina. But without question, the most significant development for Goulamina has been the partnership with GANFENG that we announced in mid-June. So we ran a process, as I say, with Macquarie here in Perth, and we attracted all the top players into the data room. And it was clear from very early on that GANFENG were a front runner. They are one of the world's leading lithium companies. I think they're the world's #1 producer of lithium chemicals, a company with substantial wherewithal, 25 to 26 billion US dollar market cap, and a very well positioned series of partners in Tesla, BMW, etc. But they need to grow. They need to grow their downstream capacity, and the only way they can see to do that is to put their foot on the raw materials. So, they liked what they saw, and we certainly agree that this can be a very strong partnership. They're bringing the development funding, so that feasibility study defined a capital cost of 194 million US dollars. That's the package of funding they're bringing, 130 in equity and up to 64 million in debt. Earlier this week, their shareholders voted overwhelmingly in favor of that transaction. A couple of condition precedents remain around Chinese and Mali government approvals. Very confident that those will come, because this is win-win-win. It's win for Firefinch and ultimately Leo Lithium for GANFENG, but also for the government of Mali. They shape to be the first significant lithium producer in West Africa, and we believe there's a platform to grow the business. Some significant catalysts ahead for Leo Lithium. We have secured and reserved the ticker LLL. But that demerger will come to market early next year, off the back of a definitive feasibility study update that we're currently busy with. That's building on the technical knowledge that GANFENG bring to the table around some flow sheet optimization. We're obviously refreshing the costs. We also hope to then be in a position to make a final investment decision before the end of this year, before we bring the company to market. And I think that will represent a significant value proposition in the lithium space. Importantly, we're busy recruiting the key executives for Leo Lithium. Very pleased with the caliber of candidates that have come forward there, and hope to be in a position to make some announcements around those appointments very soon. But on to the Morila. And Morila has, as I say, a fantastic history. Over its life has produced 7.5 million ounces, including that 1 year of over a million. And the open cut grades back in the early 2000s were amongst the highest in the world, 14, 15 grams per ton. And, some high grades, a couple of 100 grams a ton, visible gold. And it made Rand Gold back in the early 2000s. And interestingly, though, they didn't walk away last year when Barrick, as of course Rand Gold became, or was merged into that organization. They didn't walk away last year. They walked away in 2009 when they were in joint venture with Anglo American. Gold prices were significantly lower than they are today, and they reckoned they had higher priorities, and that's probably right. So this isn't a question of whether they were wrong and we are right by saying that there's significant further potential here. It's a different environment, a different context, and what was important to them or what wasn't, I guess, head-turning for them has certainly become very head-turning for us. So the gorilla beats its chest again, and we have seen some tremendous progress since we did this deal. We concluded it in November last year for just under 30 million US. I think it was actually in this room where I sat and listened to another paid out lunch, a couple of key players in the industry and in the exploration space talking about their discovery cost. And I think it was Stuart from Goldfields who said his discovery cost was over $60 an ounce, but he was very proud of that, and justifiably so. This acquisition cost was less than $15 an ounce for 2.5 million ounces at Morila as we speak, before we've even started drilling. And we'll show you some of the results that we've got since then. But we also inherited a 4.5 million ton per annum processing facility that we've refurbished, and it's now operating back at that nameplate. And a very skilled workforce that we inherited from Barrick that we're now building on. And whilst we were nominated for the deal of the year, we didn't win it, but maybe next year. And maybe next year we can also replicate the success of Richard and the team at West African, who I think outstandingly won the Digger of the Year at Diggers this year, and starting to show that people are taking notice of West Africa and its place in the gold industry. But how big could this system be? As I say, you can see there in the purple the heart of what was Morila, the Gorilla, that high-grade ore body. But you can also see that it plunges into the right-hand corner of the slide where we've got that oval number 1. And our very first hole into that zone that we released a couple of weeks ago was 10.5 meters at over 30 grams per ton. Not bad. We believe that could sustain a small high-grade underground operation, again, not dissimilar to what Richard's doing at Sanbrado. But importantly, the oval number 2 there in the west side, that'll be the first stage of our planned cutback at Morila. And there we're following up 58 meters at 1.75. Not such a head-turning grade, but what's very important about that intersection is that that sits outside of the resource model at the minute, inside the pit, but not in the model. And we believe there will be multiple repeats of that style of mineralization in that western side that will help grow the in-pit inventory, reduce the strip ratio, and improve the economics that we put together back in May when we issued the initial life of mine plan for Morila. So plenty of upside even within what we know and outside of the pit. We're not going to die wondering. We've got 5 rigs operating at the minute, very well supported by the guys from Capital Drilling. I saw Brian here yesterday, getting great service out of them and some fantastic results that we have put in the book and plenty more to come. So the catalyst will be as we transition from what was a tailings retreatment operation that we inherited from Barrick into the mining of the satellites that we're busy with right now. But the big prize here is getting back into the heart of Morila. And we'll do that early next year with that cutback, as I say, on the western side. And we'll ramp up from around 50,000 ounces of production this year to 120 in 2022, 170 in 2023, and over 200,000 ounces in 2024. And then the job of the drill bit is to keep us there. There's plenty of blue sky here, not just in and around Morila, but across a regional package that extends to 685 square kilometers. A lot of anomalism that hasn't been followed up, and we're certainly not going to die wondering. Speaking about our social license to operate, very topical. And I listened to that little video beforehand and the talk about the jurisdiction that we're in, and I'm not here to deny that Mali has its instability. But are we trying to pretend that Australia doesn't have political instability? I find it quite hypocritical, really, to be honest, because operationally, there is no instability in Mali. I went there 4 days after the most recent supposed coup where the president and the prime minister were moved on. They were moved on because they weren't aligned with the plan to get to democratic free elections in February. That's a good sign. But operationally, nothing's other than business as usual over there. And I'm sure the guys at Resolute would say the same. The guys at Barrick who are still operating in the country would say the same. This is an experienced and very successful mining jurisdiction. And I don't think we should be throwing stones at that, given back to my time at Taurus, we had 1 asset expropriated in those 10 years in New South Wales. So Mali, I think there's a perceived risk. If you haven't been there, I don't think that qualifies you to talk about it. It's got a tremendous mining history. We're about to build on that, not just with the revival of Morila, but by bringing them into the lithium game. We'll continue our commitment to strong local employment. We have less than 2% of expats on site, and we want to continue to procure locally. We've got Malian mining contractors, and that's a commitment that we shape to replicate, as I say, down the road at Goulamina. Lots of projects in agribusiness. We've got fish farms, we've got poultry farms, we've got market gardens, we've got honey production. All of these things adding value to the community. But the best thing we can do is provide jobs, pay our taxes, pay our royalties, and put money back into the community. That's the history of what Morila's been doing, and we will continue to do that. But very importantly, in these 5 months, we have enjoyed a very significant increase in the attention that Firefinch has had in the market, and that's great. But it's only just the beginning. This company has already done 2 fantastic deals in the last 12 months, transformational deals, company-making deals. And we're going to leverage the track record and the experience of our board and management teams to grow the value there. But we're very focused on delivering the potential. So that's getting Morila to that steady state production of 200,000 ounces, getting Goulamina into production at over 400,000 tons of spodumene concentrate, and then expanding those assets through drilling. And in time, turning our head to acquisition to grow organically. And for me, as I say, after 5 months, totally vindicated the decision that I've made to get back into the executive ranks, that it's where. Absolutely loving it, totally invigorated. The story has plenty of mileage to run yet, and I look forward to keeping everybody informed. Thank you.